Hello friends! A video has been circulating online this week with over 2 million views. An American expat, 71 years old, who retired abroad to Southeast Asia, looking into the camera and saying 5 words that stopped people cold. I cannot afford to go home. He laid out his numbers, his social security check, the cost of rent back in America, car insurance, groceries, and by the end, the math painted a picture that terrified every American expat watching from overseas. That going home to the country they were born in, the country they worked in their entire adult lives, is no longer financially possible. And the comment section is filled with thousands of expats saying the exact same thing. I am stuck. I retired abroad and I cannot go back. Is that true? We looked at the actual numbers. We pulled the real program data. And our verdict? Half true. The math is real, but what nobody told him, what nobody is telling any of these American expats living overseas, is that there are at least 6 federal and state programs that could completely change that equation. Programs designed specifically for seniors on fixed incomes returning to the United States, and not a single one was mentioned. Before we get into it, subscribe and turn on the bell right now. What we are about to cover could change the financial future of every American expat living abroad right now who thinks coming home is impossible. The people subscribed here find out in time. The ones who are not find out after the money runs out and the options disappear. Let's get into it. Here is the math that has everyone panicking. An American retiree living the expat life overseas on roughly $2,200 a month in Social Security after the Medicare Part B deduction. That is his entire income. He looks at the average rent for a basic apartment in an average American city, $1,500 a month. Right there, 2/3 of his check is gone before he has bought a single meal. Add a car, add insurance, add utilities and groceries, and the math does not work. There is nothing left. He is right about that, if those are the only numbers in the equation. But those are not the only numbers. And this is where the story changes completely for every expat who retired abroad and assumes coming home is off the table. The first thing nobody told him about is federal senior housing. The United States Department of Housing and Urban Development runs a program called Section 202. It was designed specifically for Americans 62 and older on low incomes. In a Section 202 property, your rent is not $1,500. Your rent is capped at 30% of your adjusted income. On a Social Security check of $2,200 a month, that means your rent is approximately $660, not $1,500, $660. That single fact changes the entire equation for any expat thinking about coming home. And Section 202 is not the only option. The Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher program works differently. It lets you choose where you want to live, and the government pays the difference between what you can afford and what the rent actually costs. Both programs have waiting lists. That is the reality. But the waiting lists move. And here's something most American expats living overseas do not realize. You can apply to multiple housing authorities in multiple states at the same time. You do not have to wait until you move back. You can start the process from abroad right now at HUD.gov. The second thing nobody mentioned is food assistance. The SNAP program, what most people still call food stamps, has special rules for seniors over 60. If you are 60 or older, you only need to pass the net income test, not the gross income test. That means after deductions for housing costs, medical expenses, and utilities, your countable income could be low enough to qualify even on a Social Security check that seems too high at first glance. Right now, in 2026, roughly half of all seniors who are eligible for SNAP have never applied. Not because they do not qualify, simply because nobody told them the program exists, or because they assumed their Social Security was too high. You have to know to ask. The third program is utility assistance. LIHEAP, the Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program, has income limits that are significantly more generous than most people realize. In many states, the cutoff is 150 to 200% of the federal poverty level. For an American expat returning home on a fixed income of $2,200 a month, you very likely qualify depending on the state you choose. That is a direct payment toward your electric bill, your heating, your cooling. Money you never spend out of pocket. Call 211 from anywhere in the country and they will connect you to your local LIHEAP office immediately. The fourth thing is a brand new tax break that almost nobody has heard of yet. Starting in 2025 and running through 2028, if you are 65 or older, you can claim an additional $6,000 deduction on your federal taxes, $12,000 if you are married filing jointly, It is called the Senior Bonus Deduction. It was passed as part of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, and it directly reduces the portion of your Social Security income that is subject to federal tax. The IRS is not going to remind you this exists. Your tax preparer might not bring it up. You have to know to ask for it when you file. And the fifth thing, this one is critical for any American expat living abroad right now, is understanding what happens to your Medicare when you come home. If you are currently having your Part B premium deducted from your Social Security check while living overseas, that is actually smart. It means your coverage is active and waiting for you the moment you step back on American soil. But if you dropped Part B to save money while living the expat life abroad, and a lot of expats do exactly that, you face a late enrollment penalty when you re-enroll. That penalty is 10% added to your monthly Part B premium for every full 12 months you went without coverage. And here's the part that should terrify you. It does not go away. It follows you for the rest of your life. On the standard 2026 Part B premium of $202.90, 5 years without coverage means a 50% penalty. That is an extra $101 every single month, forever. Over 20 years, that is $24,240 for a decision the SSA never warned you about before they processed the cancellation. If you are an American expat living overseas right now and thinking about dropping Part B to save a few $100s a month, do not do it. That short-term savings will cost you tens of thousands over your lifetime. Here's what the real math looks like when you put all of this together. Meet Tom. He is 71 years old. He retired abroad 8 years ago. He has been living the expat life in Southeast Asia on a Social Security check of $2,200 a month. He assumed coming home to America was impossible. Here's what Tom did not know. Tom applies to Section 202 senior housing in a mid-sized city in the Midwest before he even leaves Asia. His rent is capped at 30% of his income, $660 a month instead of $1,500. That is $840 saved every single month, $10,080 a year. Over 10 years, $100,800. Tom qualifies for SNAP after his housing deduction is applied to his net income. That covers roughly $200 a month in groceries he no longer pays out of pocket. $2,400 a year. Over 10 years, $24,000. Tom applies for LIHEAP in his state and receives a direct utility grant covering approximately $100 a month in energy costs. $1,200 a year. Over 10 years, $12,000. Tom claims the senior bonus deduction on his taxes and reduces his federal tax bill by roughly $900 a year. Over 10 years, $9,000. And because Tom kept his Medicare Part B active the entire time he was living abroad, no late enrollment penalty, no surprise surcharge eating into his check for the rest of his life. That one decision alone saved him over $24,000 compared to the expats who dropped their coverage. Add it all up, Tom went from believing he was trapped overseas, that America had no place for him anymore, to having roughly $1,200 in real monthly cash available after housing, food, and utilities are covered. That is not luxury, but that is a life. That is a roof over his head. That is food on the table. That is a doctor who takes his Medicare card. That is a phone call with an old friend in a town where everyone speaks his language. The total value of the programs Tom accessed over 10 years, $145,800. Every application was free. Every phone call was free. The only thing it required was knowing these programs existed in the first place. And that is the part that nobody told him. Not the SSA, not Medicare, not a single government agency reached out to a single American expat living abroad and said, here is how you come home. Not every expat who retired abroad will qualify for every program. Income limits vary by state. Waiting lists are real. The process takes patience. But the idea that coming home is mathematically impossible, that there is no path back for Americans living overseas, is not true for millions of people. The programs exist. The funding exists. What does not exist is anyone sitting these expats down and walking them through it. Here is exactly what to do. Everything is in the description below. Every link goes to a verified.gov source. No third parties, no sales traps. Go to HUD.gov and search for Section 202 Senior Housing in the area you are considering. Call 211 to connect with LIHEAP and local assistance programs. Visit SSA.gov to check your current Medicare enrollment status. If you are 65 or older, ask your tax preparer about the senior bonus deduction when you file. And whatever you do, do not drop your Medicare Part B while living abroad without understanding the permanent penalty waiting for you when you come home. Every one of these steps is free. The only thing it costs is the time to ask. And the cost of not asking, as you just saw with Tom, is the difference between believing you are trapped and knowing you have a way home. If this video helped you, share it. Send it to an American expat you know who is living abroad right now. Send it to someone who retired overseas and thinks they are stuck there. Most of the people missing these programs are not missing them because they do not qualify. They are missing them simply because nobody told them the programs exist. You can be the person who changes that. Here at National Benefit Defender, we read the actual legislation so you never have to. Subscribe right now and turn on notifications so you never miss an update that could put real money back in your pocket. Stay safe out there, and we will see you in the next one.